Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the ST&E Subcommittee Work Session on House Bill 609 for this day, which is October 24th, I believe, correct? So we'll start our meeting as usual by asking everyone to rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank the subcommittee members for attendance today. We have a full house, and that's good to see. This is our third subcommittee meeting on House Bill 609. We've had extensive discussions about a proposed amendment, and this morning I'm hopeful that we'll be able to reach final agreement on an amendment to HB 609 that we can recommend to the full committee. All members of the subcommittee have had a copy of this draft amendment since last Thursday afternoon, and so they've had a chance to digest its contents. And I'm looking for comment about whether you think the draft we have working in front of us here today is adequate to its purpose. Representative Harrington.
Yeah, I would start with, thank you for taking my question. I think it is adequate, and I think people need to remember that this may not be perfect, but it's a big step in the right direction. I've attended a couple of meetings over the past few months, specifically one up the FERC meeting on the winter reliability program up in Maine this summer, and got to talk to a lot of potential people that would be building. And right now, New Hampshire does not have a great reputation because, we had the Northern Pass, whether you're in favor of it or not. A lot of people see that as people being against new projects. There was the latest wind project that took, 6 years before it finally got licensed, and that's a net of about 10 megawatts. So anything we can do to improve the process and show that we're trying to be a little bit more efficient, I think will be received warmly by people that might be willing to invest, whether it's transmission or energy projects in New Hampshire. And, if we're going to go forward with this electrification concept, we're going to need more electricity and more transmission to do it. So something like this, that it's, like I say, it may not be perfect, but it's a big step in the right direction, which I think we should take.
Thank you for that comment. I forgot to mention that the draft in front of us contains or reflects all of the comments and discussions that we had at our last subcommittee meeting. So everything that we discussed there should have been reflected here. Some of the comments may have been contrary to what's reflected here, but we discussed them at the time. So I'm hopeful there's no surprises here. Representative McGee.
Those hopes be dashed. No, I'm just kidding. I agree with Representative Harrington that we've been asked to do something to try and improve the site evaluation committee process. We did receive input even at the New Hampshire Energy Summit from the panel that discussed the SEC, that perhaps the process wasn't as broken as the ways in which the site evaluation committee conducted hearings. So we did have input from folks who follow the process, asking us if there could be some changes made there. And I think the only thing that we've changed here as of our last hearing that I would still question whether it's going to meet our goal is that we recanted our proposal to make the adjudicative proceeding of the SECs be something that the named attorney on the Public Utilities Commission be the head of. And we were dissuaded from that by folks who testified here. But I guess my question would be whether we just reconsider if that meets the purpose that we have in terms of trying to improve the process.
Okay, well, we can have another discussion about that. So the chair of the Public Utilities Commission has been the chair of the Site Evaluation Committee since the Site Evaluation Committee was formed back in the late 1990s. It's always been that the SEC chair was the PUC chair. So we're retaining that structure here. And I'd need to hear a compelling reason why we would need to change that.
Was that chair always or only sometimes an attorney? Because I know Diane Martin was an attorney and Martin Honigsberg was an attorney, so Mike can answer it, I guess. Yeah.
Representative
To
Harrington.
the best of my knowledge, the chair for most of that time has always been an attorney. Between Diane Martin and Tom Getz was very long serving on there. Amy Ignatius was involved, and she was a lawyer as well. But the thing I think we need to remember here is that this is a small part of the duties of the chair of the PUC as far as time. They will have multiple very formal hearings on weekly, monthly basis over the course of a year where the PUC chair is going to be running the meeting. And if he or she is good enough to do that, it certainly, I think, could be good enough to do a SEC hearing maybe once or twice a year. So it's not like we're taking someone from a department that doesn't do adjudicative processes. That's basically all the PUC does now is adjudicative process. So if they're qualified to be the chair of the PUC and do that on a daily basis, they're certainly qualified to do it as far as chair of the SEC on a maybe 2 or 3 time a year basis.
Any further comment on this question? Okay, seeing none. Any further comments on the proposed amendment? All right, I'd like to hear your thoughts about whether we as a subcommittee would be willing to vote to recommend to the full committee the adoption of this amendment. Representative Corman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I feel like we've gone through this quite a bit. It's, as Representative Harrington said, I'm agreeing with him again. It's not perfect, but it's a good step in the right direction. And I am prepared to vote.
Speaking of that, Representative Corman and Harrington agreeing with one another, I think Representative Harrington said after the meeting, our last subcommittee meeting, that the two of you agreeing with each other would probably mean that the Patriots would win the following weekend.
So we have another chance this week coming up.
So that turned out to be a prescient prediction on your part. Okay, further comment on whether we or not we should recommend to the full committee the adoption of this amendment. Representative Kaplan.
Yeah, I agree with the other representatives on this subcommittee that I'm ready to vote. I think it does the purpose that we set out to meet, which is to streamline the process. It does that, and also at the same time safeguards the public interest, I believe, sufficiently. And as Representative Harrington said, the proof will be in the pudding. So no process is perfect, but we need to let this vessel sail and see how it does.
And I'll remind everybody on the subcommittee that even if we recommend this amendment to the full committee will still debate it and decide its fate. And if it should go forward to the full House, there'll be another debate there. And then if it gets past the House, it'll go to the Senate. There'll be another debate there. So there's plenty of other opportunities for further tweaks in this amendment. Well, given the sense of the committee, then I will make the motion that the subcommittee recommend to the full ST&E the adoption of the text of this proposed amendment. I will submit this text to OLS later today and ask that it be formalized into an amendment, and we will propose that to the full committee at exec session on November 6th at 10 a.m. Is there a second to
I'll
the motion?
second that.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Excellent. So our subcommittee work, I believe, is done. I want to thank you for being here. Sorry it was such a short meeting, but short meetings can be good at times, right? So thank you, everyone, for attending, and stay tuned for further information about all this at exec session on November the 6th. Thank you.